Hi everybody, today I'm dressed as a lumberjack. Thanks for coming back. I am talking to, today, one of my favourite comedy people. She is such a talent who I've wanted to talk to for a very long time. Please welcome Jennifer Saunders. There she is. Hello.
Ah, hello.
There we look at us. And I have my glasses on. Look, we look like the two Ronnies.
Yes. And it's hello from him.
Yeah, and in a packed program tonight, I'll be talking to Jennifer Saunders. Now, it's very good of you. It's very good of you to talk to us now, because in our world, it's 10:30 in the morning, and you were on stage last night.
Well, you know, you're worth getting up for, Rob.
Yes. Now, let's go back. You were accepted at a drama school that frankly turned me down. The Central School of Speech and Drama. But you were doing a course. Yeah, they did, and RADA did, yeah. Is this right, or is this just hearsay that you were on a teaching course, not out of your own design?
I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, you know, when I was when I'd left school, and applied to lots of places. But I was so bad at interviews, and I was so not shy. I just was sort of morose, I think, and so I didn't get in anywhere. So I was sent by my mother to do au pairing in Italy for the gap year, you know, because she just couldn't stand me being at home anymore. I came back and she'd already got the forms out. Where are you going to go? And I chose London, and it was central to do drama teaching. And they were desperate, I think, Rob, honestly, because I arrived with absolutely nothing to give them at all. But they literally looked at me and said, "Would you like to do this course?" I put on a leotard, which was the most hideous experience of my life, and we all had to dance around and show that we had limbs. I think that was the only thing. We have limbs and that we can actually move. And they then played a couple of notes on the piano, and we had to sort of say whether one was higher or lower. And I got in, and it was great because I met Dawn, obviously, there, and the course wasn't that demanding.
But is it true that it was the teaching course because your mum had applied for that, and you were not aware that it was the teaching course?
No, I didn't know it was the teaching course. She said it was a B.Ed, and I didn't quite know what that meant. I thought it meant I had an education. I didn't realise that it meant I had to give other people an education. And it was a shock because in the second year, they sent us out to schools to do teaching practice, which was just honestly such a shock.
Let me talk to you for a second about au pairing in Italy. My wife was an au pair in Paris for a while. And again, that was a thrown in at the deep end kind of experience. How was it for you?
I was thrown in at the deep end, exactly the same. My mother, thank God for her, actually. Otherwise, I would probably just have sat at home and moulded into my Wellington boots and never moved. But she sent me to Milan to au pair. But I literally had my suitcase packed, was put on a plane, got off. I had no Italian at all, nothing. I was there, and it was night time when I arrived in Milan airport, and I was told to go and find a taxi. So I went and found a taxi, and he took me there. I got out the cab, and he left me in the middle of this dark, those deep, dark streets with closed shutters for miles. I thought, well, this is it. I've just got to do this. And inside was basically the courtyard of a palace. And this couple had most of this extraordinarily huge buildings. There were ballrooms they never used. It was just bizarre how huge this place was. I eventually met the woman, the mother, and she took me upstairs and showed me my bedroom. We walked through these huge rooms, and we eventually came to a cupboard. And that cupboard basically was where I would be living. And it was a little cupboard just off the kitchens. And It was literally a bed, enough room to get out of the bed. I actually loved it. I loved being in this tiny little place, and it was near the kitchen, and all the cooks used to come and chat to me and stuff and gossip like mad. And gossip about the woman, whose husband apparently was having affairs and blah, blah, blah. And then my job was basically to look after the children, wake them up, and these children were rich, spoilt brats. One of them was obviously on drugs and didn't want me anywhere near his room. And the other boy hated me. So eventually they found my only duty really was to go around the house day and night, opening and closing shutters. And I loved it because it meant I didn't have to talk to anyone, I didn't have to see anyone, but I wandered around the house and I would open the shutters in the day, thousands of them, and then close them at night. I had a great time eventually, but it was, I think, just bizarre.
Now, you're in the theatre at the moment. You're in Blythe Spirit. There's not much time left for people to see it. But the word on the street is you're fantastic and that you're loving it.
Well, yes, I am loving it. And I love the part because it's a part written for, and I suppose there are a few, it's a character part. It's one of the comedy character parts. And Angela Lansbury's done it, and Julie Mackenzie's done it. So many great comedians and comic actresses have done it. It's a gift, and because Richard Eyre, the director, asked me to, I just thought, well, yeah, I will. And they just let me go as far as I wanted, and then they said, "Oh, do the eyebrows bigger." Oh, and now have a slight moustache, and not me, obviously I do have a slight moustache, but what I have shaved this morning, by the way, especially for you. It's been a joy, but it's since the kids left home, I'm enjoying doing theatre a bit more because I don't feel I'm missing out on that sort of bit of nighttime home life. And also because Aid's been doing plays too, so often we've been in the theatre. When I say often, I mean once. Once we've been doing a play together.
I've segued rather beautifully to your upcoming film release that I'm very excited about, which is Death on the Nile. Now, tell me, you and Dawn appearing in Death in the Nile with Gal Gadot and a whole host of big film people. What was that like?
Just extraordinarily brilliant. And I mean, Dawn and I, when we were asked to do it, couldn't believe it, because all our lives, our comic lives, we have had this thing about one day, Don, a big producer will come one day and we'll get a Hollywood movie. He'll be in the audience. So every night we used to go on and go, oh God, we're in Hull and it's a rainy night and we've got to go on and do our show. We'd go, yeah, but imagine there's a big producer in the audience and he's going to see us. He just happens to be in Hull and he's going to see us tonight and we're going to get a movie. And then we got a call that Kenneth Branagh wanted us in his movie. We were like, we can't believe this. And we had that feeling just took us from beginning to end of the whole thing. There was nothing that wasn't exciting. Every day we went in. It was thrilling. Meeting the cast. I mean, the cast were Hollywood movie stars. And we just couldn't believe how lovely they all were, normal they all were, but also that they let us in. It's like that thing where you're suddenly let in. And we had a ball. And it was a huge production, massive production. They literally built the boat to go on the Nile. The whole thing was completely appointed inside. All the cabins were done, the ballroom, the bar, the decks. It was beautiful. We spent our days just running around going, look at this, have you been in cabin 10? Oh, it's amazing. And look at this, look at this. And everyone was doing it. And then they would wheel it out into water, sort of around water. And God, it was honestly so glamorous and so extraordinary.
Was it strange for the two of you because you've done those brilliant movie pastiches over the years? And then that was one of your signature things. And then here you are in the kind of film that you would normally pastiche.
I know. And I think that was quite hard but also Ken is very, very precise. Well, you'll know, he likes He knows exactly what he wants, and he's really good at getting it. But what I hadn't realised was how quietly you have to speak. You literally hardly say anything. So literally, sometimes he'd be saying his lines in the scene, and because I'm also getting a bit deaf, I couldn't hear him. I wouldn't know when he'd finished. And everything we did, we'd be going, well, I want to go here, and he'd go, less, less. And you go, okay, well, I want to go here. And you go, well, I want to go here, I want to go. And you take everything down, down, down. Until I thought, can anyone hear anybody speaking? It was so low, but it's what he wanted. It's that intimate film thing where you literally you speak as if you're speaking to yourself.
And I remember years ago, in about 1990, I was a presenter on a film show on Sky, and we went to Morocco to watch Robin Williams making a film with Bill Forsyth called Being Human. And we got to watch some of the filming. And I've always remembered a scene that you had Robin Williams and an English actor, and I stood off watching. And that was when it struck me, listening to the scene. The English actor would say, well, we're here in this desert and somehow we're going to find our way out of here. What do you say to that? And Robin Williams would go, well, I think, yeah, we probably do have to find a way out. And that was when I first became aware of this massive difference between the sort of that Hollywood film acting, which is just being and letting the camera do the work. Robin Williams, yes, we said Robin Williams. Now, I don't know if this is true. Didn't he come to see you when you were at the comic strip?
He came to the comic strip. It must have been about 1981, I suppose. And he was fairly wired at that point, and was going around town and doing comedy gigs. And he came to the comic strip and watched, I think, and then came backstage and said, "Can I go on? Can I go on?" And the fact that he came back, and we were all pretending to be so cool, so cool. But this was Robin Williams, And he said, "Oh, I don't have a. Does anyone have a T-shirt?" And I remember lending him a stripy T-shirt I had, really little stripy cheapo T-shirt, and he wore it that night, and then at the comic strip, and then he went on and did his act, and I can't imagine what it would have been like in that audience to think you're coming to see some sort of new wave alternative comedy, and then suddenly Robin Williams comes on. It was an extraordinary night, and then unfortunately he washed the T-shirt and sent it back to me. I know, but he was lovely.
I have an observation about you that I've wanted to put to you, and you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. I think you have mellowed / relaxed over the years. In as much as I used to think you used to be quite shy, or you didn't seem to give much of yourself, but now you seem to be happier being yourself in things. Discuss.
I would agree with you. I think I used to be less relaxed, maybe. I don't know. I used to be quite shy, and Dawn used to compensate for that and do all the talking on chat shows and things. I think there was one Terry Wogan show we went on to. I honestly think I didn't say a word. I'd also made the mistake of wearing a very hot red woolen dress, so I was sweating, itchy, and not willing to speak. But I think I have mellowed, and I realised too, doing things like I would never have ever done a panel show or a talk show or a quiz show or anything like that. I would always go, "Oh no, I can't do things. I can't think on my feet. I can't do any of that." And then I just made a decision. It could also be the menopause helped, because you actually think, "What the fuck? I don't give a shit anymore." I just do things. Life's too short, and here's this opportunity. Why don't you just do it? And I just made the decision to say yes to things. Even though I was slightly uncomfortable about them, or maybe I wasn't very good on them, or whatever. But I thought, no, if I get asked, I'm going to say yes. And the more you say yes, the more you relax, and the more you realise it's just stuff. It happened gradually, but it definitely happened.
Well, I will make this observation that your first act with Dawn was called The Menopause Sisters. Am I right?
Yes.
And then look at that, spool forward.
Yes.
So that was the thing that got you started. And then all these years later, the actual menopause starts you off in another phase of your career.
I know. Isn't that extraordinary? And when we used to say the word menopause, we had no idea what it was at all. The menopause sisters, I think we thought it was something to do with menstruation. We had no idea. I then made Ab Fab and put Adino at 40 worrying about the menopause. I had no idea what the menopause was. And then had the menopause and relaxed.
Well, there we are. And what a lovely point in a wilderness, man, to bring this intercourse, if we can call it that, to a loving and calm end. Jennifer, I'm delighted. You know I'm a huge fan, a huge admirer, and thank you for doing this. And I hope to run into you again very, very soon.
Yes, please, please. That
Bye.
would be lovely. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.